Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. It's now time for the featured bout of the evening. From the four corners of the world to the four corners of this ring, the fight starts now!
Welcome back, everybody. We are just 24 hours away from Fight Night in Manchester. A good couple of days watching the fighters go through their paces Wednesday before hearing them yesterday's press conference. Busy undercard tomorrow night, lots of action on the bill, building towards three big ones. Alicia Bumgarner makes the first event of the WBC World Super Featherweight title. William Smith and Tommy McCarthy run it back after a brilliant first clash for the European Cruiserweight title. And then, of course, the big one, CONOR BENN marches on towards what he hopes will be a world title at welterweight. Can South African Chris Van Heerden put a spanner in the works? He talked with plenty of passion yesterday. Is it going to be enough, though, Darren, with 2 years out the ring tomorrow night?
Yeah, look, I think when somebody, a fighter, is fighting with the emotion that Chris Van Heerden has, that extra incentive, that ambition, you know, look, he wants to do it for his father that passed away 3 years ago. He wants to prove that all the sacrifices he made wasn't a waste of time. He's driven by so much. He really feels this is his moment and his time to shine. But I just feel Conor's just got too much. I think he's too quick, he's too ferocious, he's young, he's on the way up, Chris Van Heerden's on the way down. But if it gets to 6 rounds and Chris Van Heerden's still there and he's still poking out the jab and he's still frustrating Conor, that's when you start asking the question. The other question is, of course, is the first southpaw of any note.
Yep.
Mike Cole back in 2017, you know, journeyman, if you like, not being disrespectful. So this is the first real southpaw test for Conor. So that will pose a different threat altogether. So look, there are questions, but for me, it's just Conor's fight to lose this.
A few questions about the chief support as well. Chris Smith and Tommy McCarthy, who, fair to say, have got a lot more respect from each other than they had in the build-up to the first fight. But it was a brilliant fight. And in terms of adjustments, we're expecting maybe a slightly different fight. But ultimately, two very, very evenly matched fighters, and another close one we're expecting on it.
So evenly matched, different styles. We were saying yesterday, I think out of the two, the one that I think can show us a little bit more is Chris Smith. I feel there are levels to come out of him, and I feel we haven't seen the best. But Tommy McCarthy, when he gets in a rhythm and he's on his toes and he's poking the jab out, he's a very, he has an eye-pleasing style, really nice to watch. I don't think it's going to be quite round 13 to start with. I think it could be a little cagey, but as the fight progresses, I think it will catch a light and it will be an epic one again.
Yeah, less unknowns for both of them, having shared a brilliant 12 rounds together. There's so much action on the bill as well. Alicia Bumgarner facing Edith Matisse, making the first defence of her world titles that she won off Terry Harper at the back end of last year. Watched her training last night with Farid Samad. I mean, very, very good fighter. Just watching the kind of the preparation they were going through, just some of the things they were working on the pads, the balance, the shot selection, the power as well, and effortless power too. Very, very well-rounded fighter, and I think if those fights materialise with Yumi Choi or Michaela Mayer later on in the year, we're in for some special fights.
Yeah, definitely. She's a great addition. I know she's already had 11, 12 fights or whatever it is, but kind of unknown really to all of us, especially here in the United Kingdom. And that was a great performance against Terry Harper. So destructive, so spiteful, and like you say, they're punching so hard. And yeah, look, she's one to watch. I'm looking forward to it, Chris.
Good stuff. Well, big man JJ Metcalf, who's been in a couple of fantastic fights at light middleweight in the last 6 months or so, has got a big opportunity against Kerman Leharaga, the reigning European champion. That's 20th of May out in Bilbao. He's got a tick-over fight first on the bill, and he is ready to weigh in. So let's hand you over to our MC without further ado. Here's David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome everybody here to Manchester, England. Great sporting, great fighting city. We've got an incredible card taking place here on Saturday night. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and all of the action will go out live around the world exclusively on Dazn. We're sponsored by Betfred, and JD Sports, and it's a great fight card with 10 fights, 3 title fights, and 1 world title. So ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get things started. Our first contest, 6 rounds in the middleweight division, now making his way to the stage from Storioskol. Please welcome the money boy, Evgeny Vasachev. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 21 wins, 2 defeats. He's got 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former Commonwealth and WBC International Super Welterweight Champion, Kid Shamrock, JJ Metcalf. Now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, Evgeny Vasachev. 159.2 for Evgeny Vasachev, 159 pounds, .2. And now to the scale, ladies and gentlemen, from Liverpool, JJ, Kid Shamrock Metcalf. £163.2 pounds for JJ Metcalf.
So tick-over fight this for JJ Metcalf, as I mentioned, ahead of a big fight with Kerman Leharaga, who's been in some absolute barn burners in the last couple of years. His home city of Bilbao. That will be for the European title for Metcalf. This one a chance to oil the wheels against a very solid opponent in Evgeny Vasachev, who took Cyrus Pattinson 2 rounds a few weeks ago.
Versus Vasachev, 6 rounds middleweights, matchroom boxing.
That one, unfortunately, won't be on the televised portion of the card. It will be recorded, and you'll be able to watch it on Matchroom Boxing social media. I think probably Sunday or Monday. But we've had a bit of a problem with the rigging, so there is a little bit of a delay with setting up, which is why Before the Bell is going to be a little bit shorter. I saw a few of you asking questions. What's that?
Can I lend a hand?
What? Go and grab some scaffold poles. Yeah. You and me. Goodness me. I think so. That'll be on the kind of dark portion of the card, but you'll be able to catch that up on Sunday or Monday. But that's a tick over for Metcalf. Same thing for Luke Evans, who is up on the bill as well, under the guidance of Matthew Hatton. So it'll be interesting to see him and Tom Whitaker too. And they'll be shortly weighing in. We're hearing that Campbell Hatton is not going to be weighing in later on.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 6 rounds in the super lightweight division. Now making his way to the stage, representing Equipo Ignacy. His professional record, 19 wins, 10 defeats, 8 knockouts, fighting out of El Bozón, Rio Negro, Argentina. Presentando Miguel El Gato Cesar Antin. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, absolutely perfect. 11 fights, 11 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Salford, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Luke Evans. And out of the scale, Miguel El Gato Cesar Antin. $141.3 for Antin. 141.3. And now the undefeated man from Salford, ladies and gentlemen, Luke Evans. $140.7 for Luke Evans. 140.7 for Luke Evans.
one of Steve Wood's fighters. Trains out of the Hatton gym, 10-0 as you heard. Been slowly filling out into the 147 division. Luke Evans, chance for him to impress on a big stage tomorrow night at the Manchester Arena.
Evans v. Antine, England v. Argentina, 6-round super lightweights, Manchester, England, matchroom boxing.
That was second on the kind of dark portion of the card. Luke Evans, very, very well-rounded fighter, nice head movement, good feet, fast, lovely shot selection, kind of a little bit of everything. I know Matthew Hatton feels he's a promising talent.
Yeah. Enjoyed what I've seen from Luke Evans. Good fighter, nice and smooth, like you say. He's got all the shots in the book. This is tighten up the guard a little bit, but he's a very good fighter. Lots to learn still, but yeah, he's a talented fighter.
Good stuff. All right, without further ado, let's head back to David. Oh, well, David's just walked off the stage, which is why we were standing there like a
next contest, 8 rounds in the light heavyweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 5 wins, 1 defeat. Fighting out of Barry, here is the machine, Ben Ridings. And his opponent now making his way to the stage with a perfect professional record, 6 fights, 6 victories, 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Liverpool, Thomas Whitaker Hard. Now to the scale, the machine, Ben Ridings. 174.1 for Ben Ridings. 174.1 for Ben Ridings. And now to the scale, the undefeated Scouser. Please welcome Thomas Whitaker Hard. $175.3 for the undefeated Thomas Whitaker Hard. Eight rounds, light heavyweights, Hart Ridings, Matchroom Boxing, Manchester, England.
Well, good to see Tom Whitaker back in action a few weeks ago for the first time in over 18 months after a horrific time, quite frankly, with illness. He's lucky to be here, frankly, lucky to be boxing and grateful to be back. Last time out, Ben Thomas, he stopped inside the first minute and a half. Ben Ridings this time out, 5-1, just that one defeat to Jay Smith, who we know has given plenty of decent fighters, British and European level, problems, including Kerman Leharaga in the weight division below. So it should be a good fight and a good time test for Whitaker if he's going to move on and challenge these bigger names.
Yeah, I just want to see Thomas Whitaker Hart busy. I'm a big fan of his style. I think he's a very good boxer, great lad, puts them together really, really well. It's just activity now, he's got to be busy.
Right, Cyrus Pattinson is back in action. Last time out against Evgeny Vasachev, who we'll see against JJ Metcalf tomorrow night. He has pushed on, I guess, after a difficult period of inactivity during the pandemic, waiting to turn professional, but he is ready to go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues right now. We've got an 8-round welterweight affair. Now making his way to the stage from Southampton, please welcome Aloisky Tuktarov. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record thus far perfect. 3 fights, 3 victories, one of them coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Newcastle, England by way of Alnwick, please welcome Cyrus Pattinson. Now to the scale, Aloisky Tuktarov. 152.1 for Tuktarov, 152.1 pounds. And now to the scale, the undefeated Cyrus Pattinson. 148.8 for Cyrus Pattinson, 148.8. Pattinson versus Tuktarov, 8 rounds welterweights, matchroom boxing, live on Dazn.
Well, this one was made at 149 pounds, so Cyrus Pattinson for the first time coming in under 150, creeping towards that 147 limit and actually looking good doing so.
Looks really good on the scales, he always does. Very, very good fighter, Cyrus Pattinson. We're big fans of him, aren't we? And I think like Thomas Whitaker just wants to be busy now. I don't think it'll be long if we can keep him active. He'll climb up them rankings very, very quickly because he's an exceptional fighter.
Big fans of Jordan Thompson as well, 6'7" cruiserweight, who is back in action, hell of a puncher, and he's put on a couple of really good displays since boxing on the Matchroom banner. He is back in action as well on Before the Bell tomorrow night, and he's ready to weigh in, so let's head over to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest, 8 rounds in the cruiserweight division. And now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 14 wins, 5 defeats, 9 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Belleville, Cordoba, Argentina. Please welcome Mariano El Ángel Gudino. And his opponent now making his way to the stage from right here in Manchester, England. Ladies and gentlemen, he's undefeated, 12 fights, 12 victories, 10 of his 12 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the purveyor of artistic violence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jordan Thompson. And now to the scale, the tough RG. Please welcome Mariano El Ángel Gudino. $199.9 for Gudino, 199.9. And now to the scale, the undefeated Mancunian, the purveyor of artistic violence, Jordan Thompson. Already 197 pounds, bang on, 197 for Jordan Thompson.
So Mariano Gudino just squeaking under the 200-pound limit. Jordan Thompson at 6'7", coming in at 197 and a bit. And what he said to me yesterday, he said, I'm on the weight already, and well, I don't think he's going to be able to do this forever. He's 28 years of age, but super lean. And Gudino, going to be a tough night for him, do you suspect, Darren? Could be similar to the Colin fight?
Yeah, I do. Jordan Thompson, what fighter. I think he's improving so quickly. He's dictating the pace so well, works really, really nicely behind the jab, good variation with it, and when he lets that right hand go.
Thompson v. Gudino, 8 rounds, cruiserweights, matchroom boxing, live on Dazn from Manchester, England.
There's not many that can take that shot. He really, really does throw it with real spite and power and good variation with it. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing Jordan in action again.
Just a little bit of an ag merchant, Gudino. Just see little things like that, smiling, but just hanging onto the hand a bit too long. He was like that with the Coley, but once he felt the power, his demeanour very much changed. And that could be what happens tomorrow night as well. That will be the last fight on Before the Bell. We'll then go live at 7 o'clock with Campbell Hatton, who, as I mentioned, isn't weighing in because we're still waiting for his opponent who's stuck in traffic. Jack Cullen returns to action after losing out to the vicious Frenchman Kevin Lele-Sajo for the European title, pushing on again to what he hopes will be another challenge at European level in the coming months. He is up against Vladimir. Should be a decent fight, and I think the guys are ready to wait, so let's head back to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest, 8 rounds in the super middleweight division. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 12 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw. He has 8 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Middlestown, County Cork, Ireland by way of Slovakia. Please welcome Big Bad Vlad, Vladimir Aloisky. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 20 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw with 9 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former English and IBF International Super Middleweight Champion. Please welcome Little Lever's Meat Cleaver, Jack Colin. And out of the scale, Vladimir Aloisky. 172.7 for Aloisky. 172.7 for Big Bad Vlad. And out of the scale, Little Lever's Meat Cleaver, Jack Colin. 171.7 for Jack Colin. 171.7. Colin, Aloisky, 8-round super middleweights, matchroom boxing live on Dazn from Manchester, England.
Well, he's rolled the dice and won more than one fight in the last couple of years. Had a really good scrap with Phillips Cash, came up short. Obviously, got the win over Zach Shelley, beat John Doherty against the odds there, and Avgeny Heerden too. So plenty still for Jack Colin to achieve in this sport, but didn't have the best of nights against Kevin Lille-Sajo. Maybe we'll see a rematch down the line, but that will be the last fight on before the bell. Camel Hatton, as I mentioned, will weigh in a little bit later on. Alicia Bumgarner makes first defence of her super featherweight world titles against Edith Matisse. Looked very impressive. Just watching her train last night, and was very impressive in her last fight too, wasn't she?
Yeah, she really was. I mean, like I say, very exciting addition. I know she's been around a little bit, but we haven't known of her over here, and it was a great display, and just great to have her on the bill. And there's some big fights looming for us, so she's got to take care of business against a former champ.
Yeah, certainly has. Edith Matisse, former 2-time world champion, but a little bit past the best. Just waiting for David Diamante to get into position, and then we'll hand over to the girls who will weigh in before, of course, we'll see Tommy McCarthy. Crispin and Smith hit the scales for the second time as well, and then, of course, the main event, Conor Benn and Chris Van Heerden, all to come in the next 15 minutes before a big night of action live tomorrow night on Dazn. So before the bell, as far as I'm aware, it's going to start at around about 5 o'clock, and we'll confirm that to you on YouTube as Match Unboxing as usual. Right, hearing that David Diamante is back in position, so let's head back over to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, 10 rounds for the IBO and WBC Featherweight Championship of the World. Now making her way up to the stage, please welcome the challenger. This bout is in association with King's Promotions. Her professional record, 17 wins, 11 defeats, 1 draw, with 1 win coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Trelew, Argentina, please welcome the former WBC and WBA Featherweight Champion of the World, Soledad Matisse. And her opponent now making her way to the stage. She is the defending world champion. Her professional record, 11 wins, 1 defeat. She has 7 wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Detroit, Michigan, USA, here is the reigning and defending WBC and IBO featherweight champion of the world. Please welcome the bomb, Alicia Bumgarner. And out of the scale, Soledad Matisse. 133.6 for Soledad Matisse. 133.6 for Whitaker. And now to the scale, the reigning and defending champion of the world, Alicia, the Bumgarner. 129.4 for Alicia Bumgarner. 129.4.
So the champ has made weight, the challenger hasn't. We were just given word on that a few minutes ago. Edith Matisse just coming in 2 or 3 pounds over, and well, 40 years of age now, Darren, and perhaps just didn't feel it was happening for her, and maybe safe for her to come in feeling a little bit fresher at the weight, even though she can't win the belt. I think she's a big underdog at this stage of her career.
I thought there might have been a few issues with the weight. I see her weighing herself before we went live, and she looked quite tight on the weight. But yeah, look, she needs to be strong if she's got any chance against Bumgarner, who's very, very good.
10 rounds for the WBC and IBO Featherweight Championships of the World. Matchroom Boxing in association with King's Promotions.
So Bumgarner in victory can retain her titles, the WBC and, well, the unrecognised belt, the IBO, but will have certain intrinsic value to her, no doubt. And that woman on your screen there, Edith Matisse, unfortunately, even in victory, will not be able to call herself champion again tomorrow night, but we will see how that one unfolds. Third from the top of the bill before Chris Smith and Tommy McCarthy run it back. I wasn't sure if they were going to run it back. Really, really pleased to hear that they are, and now just 24 hours away from a big fight for both of those men.
Yeah, look, I think they said it yesterday. Tommy McCarthy didn't really need to fight Chris Smith the first time, and he didn't need to do it this time, so I'm glad it's happening because the first fight was a cracker.
Certainly are. Well, the guys are ready to weigh in. Let's hand you over for European title fight. Chief support tomorrow night live on Dazn. Back over to David.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're set to go with the chief support of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the Commonwealth and European Cruiserweight Championship. And this is a rematch. Now please welcome to the stage his professional record. 18 wins, 3 defeats, 9 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Belfast. Here's the former European Cruiserweight Champion. Please welcome the Mac Attack, Tommy McCarthy. And now making his way to the stage, he is the defending champion. His professional record, 14 wins, only 1 defeat. He's got 10 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome the fighting pride of Bournemouth. Here's the reigning and defending Commonwealth and European Cruiserweight Champion. Here is the gentleman, Chris Smith. Now to the scale, please welcome Tommy McCarthy. $199.5 for the Mac Attack, $199.5 for Tommy McCarthy. And now the fighting pride of Bournemouth, the gentleman, Chris Smith. $199.5 for the defending champion, $199.5 for the gentleman, Chris Smith.
Well, he was hurt early in the first fight, Chris Smith. He was billed as the kind of puncher versus the mover, but it was McCarthy who landed the early shots cleaner, but Smith who dragged the fight back in his favour late. It was very, very tight. I don't think many people could have picked a winner at the final bell. Felt almost like one that had draw written all over it. Smith got the nod by a round, and well, I think rightly so. They're running it back, and the winner of this will rightly be right in the mix at the top end of this division as well.
Absolutely, they will. They're not far at all. You know, the pot of gold for the winner is huge. I mean, not only bragging rights. Tommy McCarthy will want to right that wrong from the first fight. Chris Smith will want to prove that I am the better fighter. I left it too close last time. But the winner, you're right, goes on to real big things, and in a division where they're looking for the new stars.
It's the rematch. It's the cheap support. Chris Smith, Tommy McCarthy. 12 rounds for the Commonwealth and European Cruiserweight Championships. Matchroom Boxing, Manchester, England, live on Dazn.
Never nice when you get left hanging, is it? But well, we said there was respect between the pair of them. Maybe Chris Smith just putting it on hold until after the contest, keeping himself focused, doesn't want too many niceties, needs to keep that fire burning. It was a brilliant fight first time round. He is the champion going into this. Will he remain so? Will Tommy McCarthy regain the title that he lost in the ring last time? These two competed. European Cruiserweight title on the line, chief support in Manchester. Tomorrow night, before we head to the big one, Conor Benn continues his march on towards world level at 147. Can Chris Van Heerden put a spanner in the works tomorrow night? It's a big ask.
I mean, it's a huge ask. He's in there with a young, fresh, spiteful challenger in Conor Benn. He's going to have to call on his experience, movement, boxing IQ, know-how. He's going to have to bring his A game if he's got any chance, Chris Van Heerden. But yeah, it's another test and one I'm looking forward to seeing how Conor gets on.
Another big opportunity for Conor Benn to go 21-0. Both fighters, Van Heerden and Benn, ready to weigh in. So let's hand you over to the stage for our main event weigh-in. Here's David Diamante.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Manchester, England. It's now time to weigh in the main event of the evening taking place here on Saturday night. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and it's sponsored by Betfred and JD Sports. Of course, all the action, including the main event, will be streamed live around the world exclusively on Dazn. And now it's time for the main event. 12 rounds of boxing scheduled for the WBA Continental Welterweight Championship. Please welcome to the stage the challenger. His professional record, 28 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 1 no contest. And this southpaw boasts 12 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Santa Monica, California, USA, by way of Mayerton, South Africa. Here is the former IBO welterweight champion. Please welcome the Heat, Chris Van Heerden. Van Heerden. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, a perfect one. 20 fights, 20 victories, 13 of them coming by way of knockout. Saturday night, he makes his 6th defense of his Continental title, fighting out of Ilford, Essex, England. Here is the reigning, defending, undefeated WBA Continental Welterweight Champion. Here is the popular and hard-hitting Conor, the Destroyer Benn. Benn. And out of the scale, the Heat, Chris Van Heerden. 145.8 for Chris Van Heerden, 145.8 for the challenger. And now to the scale, the undefeated Conor, the Destroyer Benn. 146.5 for the undefeated Conor, the Destroyer Benn.
So Benn goes immediately to rehydrate. Half a pound to spare for the home fighter. For Chris Van Heerden, a pound and a half to spare, which is impressive given his time out of the ring. But Darren, you know, he doesn't take time out of the gym, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, he's a gym rat. He lives and breathes the sport. He's dedicated his whole life to it. So not surprised that he's looking in such great shape. And yeah, slightly under, but he'll be strong, he'll be fresh, he'll be fit for tomorrow, no doubt.
Big man as well, Van Heerden. A couple of people tweet me earlier to say, is he 6'6'1"? And I said, yeah, we were both surprised when he came up on the stage with us, how tall he was after the open workout. Then we'll have to get inside that long, busy jab, be patient early, hit what he can, and take a patient approach, which maybe was absent at times in the Granados fight.
Yeah, I think it was a case of he was leading with his hands, not his feet, and he was just falling over that front foot, wasn't cutting the ring down a lot, but they were 10 valuable rounds, which I'm sure he's learned an awful lot from. I think we'll see, I don't think we'll see as much movement from Van Heerden, but he does move an awful lot, gets in a nice rhythm behind his jab, so Conor's going to have to cut the ring down, try and pin Van Heerden into the corner, onto the ropes, and have success that way. Don't get frustrated.
CONOR BENN, Chris Van Heerden, 12 rounds for the WBA Continental Welterweight Championship match from Boxing Live on Dazn from Manchester, England. Ben Van Heerden, main event Saturday night.
Well, for that young man, an important rite of passage in this phase of his apprenticeship before pushing on to world level. He's had a number of different styles. He's blown some away, like of Samuel Vargas.
Conor, come and have a quick chat with us. It's been an incredible, rapid rise through this division. How much are you looking forward to showing us the next chapter here on Saturday night?
This is next chapter that I've got to get through to make history, and that's what I plan on doing. What an amazing turnout. Thank you all for coming. On to the next one we go.
Chris Van Heerden brings something a little bit different in the sense that he's a southpaw, but are you confident you'll be able to deal with him exactly the same way you've dealt with everybody else?
Listen, I deal with whoever they put in front of me. There's no two ways about it. They put King Kong in front of me, I deal with him and all. So, I ain't worried about Van Heerden.
Just tell us, finally, your last message for everybody here this afternoon and everybody tuning in tomorrow night. What can we expect to see from the Destroyer?
Listen, I don't need to tell you lot what you're going to expect. I mean, you lot know what's coming. That's why you guys have turned up. So Saturday night, let's go.
Good luck, Conor.
Thank you.
So the apprenticeship continues for CONOR BENN. Another test before we hope he pushes on towards world level at this point. And Chris Van Heerden, big guy in good shape.
Huge. I mean, look, Conor's a decent sized welterweight, not a huge welterweight, but Van Heerden is a huge welterweight. I mean, actually came in, I think he was a bit surprised at 145.8 or something. Sort of looked at the scales as if to say, oh, blimey, and he was shredded to pieces. Going to be big in that ring tomorrow night. I would think 162, 163. Will that matter? We'll find out. But certainly Conor this time, for all the people last time who said, well, Algieri was a big 140, now he's in with a big 147 in Van Heerden. So it's going to be interesting, especially if the fight goes later on.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you think the fight pans out? How does Van Heerden approach the fight?
I think it's going to be very dangerous for Van Heerden early on in the fight. He's got that inactivity from, COVID, and obviously his last fight, Jaron Ennis, didn't go many rounds. So I think Conor may jump on him early, and if he does, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get him out there in 3 or 4 rounds. But I think if the fight goes to 6, 7, 8, and this is what we want to see from CONOR BENN, this is what we need to see from CONOR BENN as you approach those crunch fights. Campbell Hatton weighing in here, his opponent's delayed. But at the same time, we want to see CONOR BENN go deep in a fight, and this hopefully could be the fight to see it. I think if Van Heerden weathers the early storm, I think he's going to be dangerous. He's very fit, very strong, very seasoned. Absolutely, you can see, in tremendous condition. And as he said, he took the Jaron Ennis fight at 2 weeks' notice. Didn't matter in the end. But we've given him the full 8 weeks here, so he's really put everything into this camp.
He's a big favourite in this fight, Conor. I mean, look, I know Conor wouldn't look beyond Chris Van Heerden, but you're the promoter, you will do. Is the plan after this fight to go into a real 50-50 sort of fight?
I think so. I mean, I still like, we agreed this fight on this date with Maurice Hooker, which I think was a really good fight. And again, I wouldn't rule that fight out in the summer, but we are also under pressure to deliver a big name from him, not just from Conor, but from the fight fans in general. And I think if he blitzes through Van Heerden, I'm ready for him to step up against a Mikey Garcia, a Danny Garcia, a Broner, but they're 50-50 fights. And it's very difficult when he's done it, but we've somehow, collectively as a team, got this young kid who didn't really look like he would be a world contender to a real world welterweight contender, and it's like you really have to get it right, because one little mistake, so everything's judged on the fight. So, like, he blitzes Algeria. Okay, we're ready for a step up. Now it's Van Heerden. If he blitzes him, we've got to let him go. We've got to let him go and do his thing. If he struggles against Van Heerden, then, or it's a tougher fight than we expected, maybe a Maurice Hooker before a Mikey Garcia. But, you know, sometimes you mustn't just listen to Twitter, and you've got to do the right job for his career. I think his progression has been faultless so far, really. I mean, when you look at, you know, and again, like Formella just boxed Sean Porter on Fox, went 12 rounds with him. And then 4 months later, boxed Conor Benn, and everyone was moaning. And he was like, well, he just boxed Sean Porter in a main event. This guy, his last fight was against Jaron Ennis, who's 26-0 at the time. So it's like...
Is it hard to pull the reins on?
Really hard, because Conor wants the big fights, but he also wants, you know what Conor's like. He likes the watches, he likes the cars, he's got a lovely house, and he also wants to make big money. Yeah. And now's the time. Those fights, like, he can walk into a fight that really financially will secure him for life in the summer. Yeah. But sometimes you've got to look at the bigger picture, and you've got to play the long game if you're good enough and you're a big enough star, which he is. Yeah. So it's just getting the balance right between saying, okay, we don't need to dive into that fight yet. It's like, I could make the Terence Crawford fight for the summer in London, right? It's the wrong fight, wrong time. Yeah. Terence Crawford's a brilliant pound-for-pound fighter. He would. He'd do it. I told him he went, I'll do it. I said, but it's difficult because you know that fight can secure you forever, financially. Yep. But if you back yourself, if you believe in yourself, and if you've got the ability, and if you've got the mindset and work ethic of Conor Benn, you know you're going to get there. So you just got to back yourself for the long game. But in the same time, nick a few quid on the way.
Yeah. Quick word on chief support, because it was a close fight. Chris Smith got past it. Credit to him for taking a rematch that he didn't necessarily need to. What was it that got this one over the line?
Honestly, I made the fight because I said to Chris Smith, Chris Smith and Shane feel like they should get their opportunity to headline in Bournemouth, right? It's what he wants. I said, look, the size of the shows that we're doing, you'd have to be in a world title fight, or we've got to keep raising your profile. So for this card, we looked at a European voluntary defence against someone you've never heard of. And I'm just like, that's not going to raise your profile. People would much prefer to see the Tommy McCarthy fight. Well, we beat him, and fair play to Chris and Shane, because they went, all right, we get it, we'll do it. And Tommy, I think, couldn't believe his luck, because he's probably sitting in Belfast thinking, I'll never really get the shot again. They're not going to rematch me.
I think a lot of people were thinking
But it's what we want to see, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, like, it's a complete 50-50 fight. The first one was a brilliant fight. If Chris goes out and blitzes him and looks really good, then we can talk about Bournemouth. Then we can talk about final eliminators for the world title. But if you're just beating the Breguions and the people that he beat at Sheffield, where's the momentum? Where's the growth?
Big goal for the winner in this fight as well. I think, aside from the bragging rights, the cruiserweight division's looking for its next stars. Isn't it?
It's in transition, isn't it? Breguions is on the way out. Colin will move up, so it will leave opportunities for these fighters.
And you've got champions; they're accessible.
Yeah.
Like Makabu, obviously he's with Don King, who wants about 460 million to fight him. But other than that, you've got Gulamarin. Yep. He's accessible. Bradis is always looking for fights. It's not like these guys are outside of Makabu wanting millions of dollars. So, a Gulamarin against Chris Smith, or an Akoli moving up to a heavyweight and freeing up a vacant title for Smith. They're the kind of fights that we'd love to take to Bournemouth. But in the meantime, keep being in fights like this. If you're good enough, you'll win. And the momentum you'll gain will be much more, because there'll be a lot of people tuned in to watch that fight, and it's a really good fight. Yeah,
all to play for then tomorrow night for those two, and for many others on the bill as well. Alicia Bumgarner defends her WBC super featherweight title against Matisse as well. All tomorrow night, live from the Manchester Arena on Dazn. Thanks for your company this week. We will see you tomorrow night. Cheers, lads.
I love to fight. That ain't motivation, and I don't know what is.
Conor is an emotional, angry fighter. He cannot box with me.
I belong up there with the elite.
Main event, eyes on you.
They don't want to believe, I'll make them believe.
It's been a phenomenal rise.
Oh, good one, two, and he's down. It's all over.
He's not a boxer. Ben has not walked the road I've walked. I didn't have a last name to carry me in my boxing career. I had to dig the hard way. Finally, I'm getting my shot.
April 16, I'm coming to win.
The end goal for me is becoming world champion, which is what I will become.
I gotta get past Ben.
And that's that.
This is it.